How many of you have a saved collection on Instagram right now full of playbooks, prompts, script formats, and reverse engineered frameworks from elite creators? Go ahead. Check. I'll wait. That collection is not closing your gap, and I want to show you exactly why. Because the problem isn't the saving, it's what happens after, which for most creators is nothing. Here's what nobody building those carousels is telling you underneath the promise. The framework is empty without the root. You can reverse engineer the structure of any elite creator's content. You can prompt your way to their format, their hook style, their script architecture. What you can't reverse engineer is the 20 years of specific experience, specific failure, and specific insight that made that structure worth copying in the first place. And if you build your content on someone else's framework filled with someone else's thinking, you haven't closed the amplification gap. You've redecorated it. I'm Lorraine. This is Watch Me Build Social. And today we're talking about the thing that actually closes the gap, not the framework you downloaded, what you put inside it. Stay with me. How many Spider-Man franchises do we need? How many Batman reboots? How many Star Wars sequels and prequels and spin-offs and Disney Plus series before we admit that what started as something pure and original got buried under the weight of too much content trying to explain itself? 3 original Star Wars films, a complete story, something simple and powerful that people fell in love with. Now there's so much of it that viewers who loved it have simply stopped keeping up. Not because they stopped caring, because it became too much to follow. That's not creativity, that's noise dressed up as content. I went back to the classroom this year after leaving full-time teaching in 2022. And what I found when I walked back in confirmed everything I just said. The students aren't disengaged. They're sharp. They'll debate their friends, quote what they watched, build on each other all day. But ask them to put their own original idea on the line in front of the class, and everything changes. Not because they don't know things, they know plenty. It's because putting your real thinking out there means someone can tell you that you're wrong. And nobody taught them that being wrong is safe. School taught them the opposite, so they share everything except the one thing that's actually theirs. And here's the part that matters. That's not a flaw in them, it's training. The same training sitting inside every creator who freezes before they post. There's research that confirms this beyond the classroom. Students who study with AI assistance and then have to write a test without it consistently score lower than their study habits would suggest. Not because they didn't consume the information, because they never processed it themselves. They had a false sense of knowledge. Information went in, nothing original came out. Creators do this every single day. They'll engage in comments all day. They'll share other people's content all day. They'll download every framework and talk about what they're learning. But posting their own original idea, their own take, their own voice on something nobody else has said exactly this way, that's where they freeze. Because what if it's wrong? What if nobody agrees? What if they put their real thinking out there and the world tells them it wasn't worth saying? That fear is why people copy. Copying feels safer than creating. If you take someone else's idea and repackage it, you're not really on the line. The idea wasn't yours. The risk isn't yours. And here's the part nobody says out loud. There's safety in trends. If you make a trending video and it fails, you're just one of the thousands who tried the same thing. The failure is anonymous. Nobody singles you out. Nobody says you specifically weren't good enough. But if you make something original and it fails, that's different. That's your idea, your voice, your thinking on the line. And that's a risk that feels too personal for most creators to take. So they stay in the trend, where failure is company and the gap stays exactly where it is. Here's what collecting other people's frameworks actually does to you over time. It creates decision fatigue. The more information you take in from different sources with different methodologies and different opinions about the right way to build, the harder it becomes to make a single clear decision about your own content. Too many chefs, too many voices, too many prompts telling you to be someone else's version of successful. And underneath the decision fatigue is something even more important to name: avoidance. If I keep consuming, I never have to actually start. I never have to face the blank page. I never have to find out whether what I have inside me is enough. The collecting feels like progress. It looks like effort. It gives you something to do that isn't the thing you're actually afraid of. Think about how many self-help books you've read, how many podcasts you've consumed, how many courses you've started, how many frameworks you've downloaded hoping this one would be the one that finally made everything clear, and how many of them did you transform into something that was unmistakably yours? Here's what I want you to understand about the amplification gap. The first layer is structural. The platform controls your reach. Elite creators have networks and proximity capital you don't have access to yet. That's real, and it's documented, and it's not your fault. But once you recognize the structural layer, you have to look underneath it. Because what keeps most creators locked inside the gap isn't the structure. It's the personal layer, the avoidance, the collecting, the fear of putting your own thinking out there, the belief that someone else's framework is more valid than your own. That's the gap from the inside. And unlike the structural layer, which requires time and strategy to close, the personal layer closes the moment you make a different decision. Today, with what you already have. And every framework you collect instead of transform is keeping that gap exactly where it is. The gap doesn't close from your downloads folder. It closes from your output. Between 3 and 15% of people who download free online courses ever finish them. One widely cited study puts the median completion rate at just 12.6%. The majority of people who download a playbook never transform it into anything real. That's not an information problem. That's an avoidance problem dressed up as research habit. Now hear me clearly, because I don't want you taking the wrong thing from this. I'm not telling you to stop downloading. Downloading isn't the problem. A download you transform into something of your own is a tool. A download you save just to feel productive is a graveyard. The difference was never whether you download, it's whether it sends you chasing someone else's voice or back to your own. Here's what I know from building the Amplification Gap framework on this channel. I'm building my own intellectual property based on my original ideas. I'm pointing at something real that most people in this space feel but have not named clearly enough to act on. And I'm repeating it consistently, in public, building it out loud, throwing spaghetti at the wall until it sticks. That's not a weakness. That's what building original intellectual property actually looks like from the inside. Messy, repetitive, uncertain, with no guarantee that anyone is going to care until they suddenly do. The line I come back to over and over in everything I build is this: take what you've learned from the past, apply it to the present so you have a better future. That means you take your specific experience, your specific failures, your specific way of seeing the world, and you run it through everything you've ever learned until something original comes out the other side. That's alchemy, turning something into something else. That's the difference between knowledge and power. Everybody says knowledge is power. And it is, but what you do with that knowledge is even more powerful. Imagine a teacher for a moment. That teacher can know their curriculum inside and out, but if they can't communicate it, what is the point? And most creators never get to the second part. They stay in the collecting because the collecting feels like progress, and building something original from what they know feels like risk. But here's the real question underneath the avoidance. Why are we so afraid to take what we've learned and apply it to ourselves so we can actually have a better future? It means that we actually have to take a look at ourselves, something that's very hard for people. Sometimes we don't know what that future looks like, and that unknown feels scary, but it doesn't have to be scary. It can be exciting, because here's the thing about the unknown. It cuts both ways. You're so focused on what could go wrong that you never ask the question that actually matters. How do you know it's not going to be the best thing that ever happened to you? That's root coaching in one question. Not your content strategy, not your hooks, or your thumbnails, or your posting schedule, the root underneath the avoidance. The specific belief that the unknown is something to fear rather than something to move toward. The moment you identify that belief and trace it back to where it actually came from, everything about the way you create changes. That's the work, and it's available to you right now. That risk is the gap closing every single time you take it. In late 2025, I enrolled in 5 courses at a local college: social media and AI. I completed all 5. I got the certificate, and the majority of the content was information I already knew. Now, did I learn something? Absolutely. Did certain ideas spark new thinking? Yes. But here's the honest truth. The certificate was never going to change what 5 years of real building had already taught me. Watch Me Build Social was born during these courses. Not because the courses gave me permission to build it, because I took what I was learning, ran it through everything I already knew, and built something original from the combination. I already had 5 years of organic growth. I already had the framework forming in my mind. I already had the specific irreplaceable perspective that no course was going to give me and no prompt was going to generate. The certificate opened a door. What I built on the other side of it came from inside me. Credentials matter. Knowledge matters. Frameworks matter. They're the beginning, not the destination. The creator who takes a framework and fills it with their own original thinking closes the gap. The creator who takes a framework and fills it with someone else's thinking just built a more expensive imitation. Same structure, completely different result. I want to be honest with you about something before I close this video. You can watch every video on this channel. You can study everything I built. You can take my framework, my language, my way of naming the gap and run it through an AI prompt. And none of that will close your gap. What will close it is the moment you stop collecting and start creating from what's already inside you. Your specific experience, your specific failures, your specific irreplaceable way of seeing the world that nobody else has because nobody else has lived your exact life. The amplification gap closes from the inside out, not from someone else's framework applied to your situation. From your own thinking expressed in your own voice, built on your own route. Okay, class, here's your homework. Go back to that saved collection. Pick one thing, one idea, one prompt that sparks something real in you. And don't copy it, transform it. Run it through everything you know and everything you lived until something comes out the other side that could only have come from you. That's alchemy. That's the philosophy in action. Take what you've learned from the past, apply it to the present so you have a better future. And that's the gap closing from the inside out. Starting today, if this video named something you've been avoiding, subscribe to this channel. Because every video I make from here goes deeper into what it actually takes to close the gap. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a single video. And if you know a creator in your life who's collecting frameworks instead of building from what they already know, send this to them. They need to hear that they already have enough to start. I'm Lorraine. This is Watch Me Build Social. Watch me.